Welcome back, everybody, to the Qualified Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Zielinski, and with me today I have Shanisha Collins from Northeast Ohio. Her business is the Maid Experience. Shanisha, how are you today?
I'm fine, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, give the listeners a little background on yourself, where you grew up, and all the good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm Shanisha Collins. I am originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I was born here. However, I was raised in Oklahoma on a military base. And I spent most of my time there. I'm in Southwest Oklahoma. And then I did maybe 1 year of schooling here in Ohio, my 10th grade year, and I went back to Oklahoma. Uh, Came out of school there, and then came back to Ohio once I was an adult and had children. And
So a little bit of back and forth.
yeah, and which is really so more of the back and forth was more once I was an adult. I moved around more. I was a military child, but we did not necessarily move around like typical military children would. When my dad was stationed in other places, we pretty much stayed put in law and while he went overseas and things like that. So we didn't my siblings and my mother, we pretty much had stability in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was it your mother or father who were in the military?
My dad.
Your dad?
Yep.
Well, thank him for his service from all of us. That's huge. I know it's tough on military families as well who have to travel constantly and do
Right.
all that. So, but seems like you grew up excellent and you have a wonderful, thriving business in Northeast Ohio. Let's just jump right into that.
Hmm.
Tell us your story. I know you told me a little bit already that you actually know Poyette, who I interviewed not too long ago, and you started a course together, or maybe met in the course. So
Yes.
tell us about that.
So yeah, so it's interesting that I have a cleaning business at all because it was nothing that I originally was like, yeah, I'm going and gonna open up a cleaning business. I actually had injured myself in 2018, and I tore my quad tendon, and so
Oh dear.
yeah, it was a horrible injury, and it left me unable to walk for almost 6 months. And if people are familiar with that particular injury, that's something that it needs to be quickly diagnosed and treated within a week of the injury. However, immediately after my injury, I did not receive the best medical care. I was misdiagnosed. They said it was just a knee sprain. And so it took almost a month for someone to take me seriously that I could not move my leg. I literally could not move it. I was in a lot of pain, and eventually, one of the nurse practitioners, took me seriously and fought for the insurance to do an MRI. And when I finally got the MRI, within 2 days, I was in surgery getting my quad tendon repaired. Um, so the prolonged diagnosis and surgery made me not be able to walk for almost 6 months. During that time, I fell into a horrible depression, and I could not do anything that I needed to do around my house. Things just became really bad, and my friends and my family would come over and try to help me clean up, um, and that helped pull me out of a depression.
Well, you have great family and friends that help you, and I'm so
Yeah.
sorry that happened to you. any type of injury is in itself, it's scary because you don't know when you could get back to work. You're dealing with the pain, and when somebody doesn't take you seriously and believe what's going on, that's even worse. So,
Yeah.
how are you doing now? Is your leg good? Is it almost there?
So, coincidentally, I tore my other quad tendon in June of this year. Almost 5 years to the day I tore my other quad tendon. So I am actively in recovery for this one. Thankfully, this my story is totally different this time because I knew immediately what was going on, and so I had surgery the very next day. I had to spend like a week in the hospital, or almost a week in the hospital, and I'm about maybe a month and a half outside of my brace. So I do physical therapy a couple of times a week, go to a chiropractor. I'm under the care of so many doctors right now. I feel like Humpty Dumpty putting me back together. But that particular injury 5 years ago and this one is like night and day with the care because I was able to advocate for myself and things like that. And so it's really crazy how it's kind of a full circle situation that it was completely night and day. But I'm equipped now to be able to advocate for myself, and that's pretty much how that goes. But
It's
go
it's
ahead.
I don't want to say it's good, but it should almost feel refreshing that people are listening right away when they should have in the first place. It
Yeah,
sucks that you got it again on the other leg, but it's
about it.
comforting knowing that you knew exactly what it was and you didn't take no for an answer and it got it got fixed right away.
Yeah. Yeah, so then I realized with the first injury how important your surroundings are for your own mental health. And I vowed to pay it forward to I was like try to help other people because a lot of times when people are going through things, no one considers like helping them clean. And so I vowed to pay it forward. When I was able to walk again, I would pull my kids and we would go and help people if they were sick or they just had a baby or they had a death in their family. And so we would just go and clean their homes. Then people started asking if we could come back. And I was like, let me start this. I need to start a cleaning business. Like, we were just helping out now. You talking about actually coming to do some extra labor. But we just knew that how impactful that was and how much that helped other people. And then I caught wind of the course. Sorry, the lights just went out because no one's moving in here. Um, we caught wind of the course that would teach you how to open a local service business, and so I joined, and I was like, okay, I could do this. I was a little scared.
Do you remember the name of the course?
Yes, it was Overthink Academy.
Okay.
And so I did the course, and you had to just dedicate your time, uh, 27 days, you can launch a local service business. So that's what I did. I started that in January of 2020. And I launched in February of 2020, and then COVID happened. I Coincidentally, prior to me actually launching, I had already started marketing to the student housing complexes around my area because I live in the Northeast Ohio, but I live in the Kent State area where Kent State University is. And I'm also a graduate of Kent State University. So I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and these student housing complexes are here, and it's a lot of them. And so that could be a great client for me. And so I decided to focus on that, not only because it was easily accessible, but also given my background professionally. I've worked a lot in higher education. So if there's a lot of things that I know students, I know their parents, I know community partners, and I know the staff on campuses, and I know extensively about them and what their needs are. So I was able to go into these student housing complexes and talk directly to their pain points and let them know what I could provide for them.
That's
So,
huge, especially knowing what, like you said, their pain points. You're not starting the sales pitch kind of in the dark. You know exactly what to say, exactly what not to say, and you skip the maybe, maybe not. And I'm sure you still get those, but it's easier to get a yes when you know exactly their pain points and you're an alum. So
yeah.
you have things to talk about with them and know exactly where to go with it.
Yes. So, man, as soon as I had already been marketing to them, and I launched, and I want to say maybe a week after I actually launched, one of the complexes contacted me. And so within 1 month of me actually launching my business, I secured my first commercial contract with one of the.
Congratulations. Look at that. That's amazing.
Thank you. Um, So that's pretty much as soon as COVID hit, the world kind of shut down, and I needed to kind of pivot away from residential. And I just focused a lot on getting commercial clients and building those relationships with them. And for the most part, that's what the business kind of teeters where, like, sometimes we're commercial heavy, and then sometimes we're residential heavy. It all just depends.
Depends on the year,
Yeah, it
or
depends on the
I'm
year.
sorry, depends on time of the year.
Yeah, because it's seasonal. Like right
Yeah.
now, we're in the fourth quarter. The residential clients are, pulling their purse strings tight, preparing for the holidays. We are in the middle of a recession, and so residential cleaning is a discretionary fund on people's budgets. So the minute that any type of financial turmoil begins to happen in their household, the cleaning service is probably one of the first that's cut. So we have to, account for that as well. So yeah, it's seasonal. It is totally seasonal.
It's tough. It's tough when your business is seasonal like that, but it seems like you have that good mix of commercial and residential where you're not taking a huge hit when the residential slows down.
Right.
Whereas some cleaning services are solely focused on residential and don't touch commercial. And when it dips, they struggle some more than others because less bookings and their staff, if they're fully staffed and
You
each
got to
staff
find it.
member has 25 hours per week, 30 hours per week, now you're losing 25, 30, 40% of your bookings. You're going to have to let some of your staff go, or they'll have to be on standby until it picks up again. But
Yeah.
before we started the call, you were telling me a little bit that you're actually leaning more heavy towards the commercial rather than the residential. So would you say the student housing would you say that's residential or would you say that's commercial?
I categorize student housing as commercial because I am dealing directly with national or international property management companies. So these companies that I'm dealing with, they have properties all over the United States. So coincidentally, I don't know how this happened, but I am like known as the student housing person. So when people who are in the cleaning industry are looking to get into student housing, everybody refers folks to me. I was like, okay. So I do provide those services, but the student housing, there's so the industry itself is growing so much. Those projects are maybe 2 to 3 weeks worth of labor every year for the summertime. We do have some stuff that's going on over the winter breaks or a little bit in the spring as well. But the big bulk of student housing is in the summertime. And that industry is growing so much that, and they need technicians, they need cleaning services, they need vendors to service these properties. But I would, because of the nature of it, I would categorize that as commercial.
And what do you focus heavily on other universities and colleges in your area for more student housing, or are you not very picky when it comes to commercial?
You're talking about my commercial
Just
portfolio.
commercial side, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not necessarily picky. That's just where like my expertise is. Um, I am, we transit, so for commercial, we specialize in student housing and post construction. So we also do post construction cleaning, and we're actually transitioning it fully into the construction industry. So to include not only cleaning trades, but I went through a training to become a commercial painter last year, so that we can get on those painting projects. I also have an extensive history as a project manager. So my end goal is to be a project manager, construction management, um, which here in Northeast Ohio, there's so many construction projects that are going on. We're currently at some of the largest ones here, and our portfolio and our pipeline is growing weekly for future projects. So we're on projects right now that are anticipating to wrap up in 2027. There's projects that they just broke ground now, that we are working on getting into those projects and serving them those construction projects as well. So
Look
yeah,
at you, the Jane of all trades.
yeah,
You are just taking all that knowledge and just learning more, which is the best thing, and I feel like the most important thing that every business owner should do is always keep learning. Don't
yeah,
stop. And it doesn't mean go to college. Doesn't necessarily mean go back to school. It's the internet's for. You can, I mean, there are certificate programs that are free online that you can go through and get it. But keep learning, keep growing, and especially like yourself, you're doing it in one specific area, but not niche specific. So you're not staying just cleaning. Now you got painting, and now you're trying to expand your portfolio where your whole business can grow with it.
right. And that's important too. So not tr- so you should niche down on something, but you should um also be open to what's going on in the industry. So, for example, the reason why I went into painting last year is because on these student housing projects, they're very layered. So the process goes when they move out of the students move out of these apartments, maintenance has to go in to fix it, then painting, then cleaning, then carpet cleaning. So last year on one of the properties, because this is when these projects are going on, every student housing complex in the country is doing these projects at the same time. So that means that there's an industry stretch for all these vendors. They have, everyone is vying for painters, everybody is vying for cleaners. Well, so for painters, I had a property where they had to fly in painters from Texas to come here to service a property. And that happens. Like I've been asked to go to Pennsylvania, over at Penn State, or I don't mind going anywhere that's touching Ohio. So we can go. I could deploy teams across a widespread area.
So
Um,
you have not only your cleaners, but you have painters as well.
Yeah, so the thing is that just bidding on the complete project, and it's to control the flow of the project, because when they are behind on painters, it puts the cleaning team behind. So for instance, if the painters today are not able to complete all of the units that they need to paint because they don't have enough people on their team, then I might have, 10 people scheduled to work tomorrow, but because the painters is not done, now I got, only 5 people got work. So I was like, well, you know what? I identified a need in the industry. They need painters. So I went and I trained to be a painter so that I could be able to understand the paint process. Because listen here, I'm not a painter. Previously I wasn't a painter. I didn't know anything other than, slap the stuff up on the wall. That's not how you're able to go and say, hey, I can perform this task for you. So I went and I learned how to be a painter, got the training, um, and now I'm able to, bid on those painting projects and actually sit in front of the client and say, oh, oh, you all use oil-based paints. Oh, you all use water-based paints. And I'm able to, talk to them in their terms. So it's more about identifying the need in the industry.
So you took the course or courses potentially to learn how to paint, but you're
Mhm.
not actually doing the painting yourself. You
I'm
did
not.
it. You
Mm-mm.
did it just to know, and so that they can't pull one over on you. And also, you can teach people how to be better painters. They
Yeah,
can be willing to paint, but this also helps you in your hiring process now, where you can teach them to be better, be more efficient, and kind of do it your way so that, like you said, your flow works so much better. If your painters are hired and they know exactly how your flow works, they'll get it done on time. And then your cleaners come in and do their
exactly.
flow, and that gets done on time.
Exactly. And so that's more of like identifying that need. Um, the same thing with anything else, even with the construction. So right now we're, learning everything. I'm in this construction accelerator program that is sponsored by the Cleveland Browns and Sherwin-Williams and Bedrock. And in that program, they also show you, all the things that you need in the construction industry. It also teaches you how to identify gaps and be able to either create a company for that, to serve that need, um, and also put you in front of the stakeholders so that you can get onto those projects that are going on in the area. So I always try to tell people to utilize all the resources that they have available. A lot of small business owners are out here thinking that they have to do it on their own, and you don't have to do it on their own. I am a big cheerleader for using like community resources. I'm resourceful, and any and everything that I may want to do, I seek out those opportunities so that um, so that I can pursue whatever it is that I want to do.
I absolutely love that. I am a huge advocate for people who want to learn first and know exactly how it's done and go from there. It doesn't mean just because you took accounting classes, now you're going to be the accountant for your business, or because you took an SEO course, now you're going to be the SEO king for your business. No, if you want to, sure, but taking those courses helps you get a baseline understanding of the necessity that you need for that specific area of your business, and it will help you in the long run with time, money, and just energy and mental state. So you're not, a lot of people don't like finances. So
I'm one.
jumping into accounting when you don't like finances and seeing numbers is just going to instantly give you a headache, and you're probably putting it off. You're not going to be like, all right, I need to do my taxes. I'm going to do it tomorrow. And then you actually do it tomorrow. No, it's probably like, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. A couple days, couple weeks, couple months go by, and then you finally do it. Same thing with marketing. It works everywhere, but just that's what I always tell anybody who asks kind of for advice when it comes to business. Should I hire somebody right away? Well, do you know how to do it yourself? Just the baseline tasks that you're asking them to do. If
Right,
they say yes, great. Do you have time to do it? No. Okay, hire. Or if you have the capital, sure. But if they say no, if they don't know the baseline tasks, then my follow-up question is, why do you want to hire somebody? Is
right,
it just because you want to offload that work? Well, how do you know that the person you're hiring isn't going to screw you over and charge you three, four times the price for their hourly work or whatever it is, and it takes them a quarter of the time to actually do it? If
right.
you don't know, you're going to be burning money. So,
Yeah, you have to have something, some knowledge, one, to even be able to delegate. I mean, you have to have that particular knowledge. And like you said, we're in the people business. So although I don't go out and clean, I'm not opposed to cleaning. I did have to go out on my very first residential booking and clean. And I feel like, so there, of course, there's a lot of people who come into the industry and never clean. It's, they're able to set up their systems, which I agree with them doing that. But there's people who have never cleaned, so they never understand that a cleaning service is totally different than cleaning your house. Because there's people like, oh, I love to clean my house. Listen, you clean your house, you go clean your kitchen, you might sit down and chill, watch a movie, get up, and then go clean your bathroom. When you are cleaning somebody's house, you are doing continuous movement for 4 to 8 hours sometimes, and your entire body hurts. When I had to go out and clean professionally for the very first time at someone's house, the next day I felt like my body had been hit by a train. But I feel like that was beneficial for me to have that experience because I hire out the work. So I'm not out there cleaning or anything else. I'm here running the business. But it gives me a better respect and appreciation for my cleaners, and I'm able to advocate for my cleaners as well because of course you have to protect your cleaners. There's not so nice clients, and so
correct.
you have to say like, hold up now. I recently had to go through that too. Like, I had a client who, we don't do any remediation services like mold or anything like that. I'm not willing to do it. I'm not asking my cleaners to do anything that I myself am not willing to do. So I'm not going to expose myself to biohazardous conditions or anything else. And I had a client who was mad that we were not going to service an area that had heavy mold. And I feel like being a leader, you have to advocate and you have to understand those conditions. So like even having that baseline um, experience that you were talking about for marketing, for um, even accounting. You know, you spoke about accounting, and I'm like, oh Lord, that's a thorn in my side because you know, when it comes down to finances, whatever fears or issues that you have with finances in your personal life, and when you go into business, that translates into business. And so you have to, if you want longevity in your business, you have to, you know, hit the brakes and say, I need to learn some of these things because I can't just hand it off to an accountant or a bookkeeper. We see this in Hollywood all the time where these, you know, who is it, Wesley Snipes or somebody went to prison because of something that his accountant did.
Mhm.
Because you're just putting your full trust into somebody and you don't understand what is going on. You know,
Athletes all the time. How
that-
many athletes retire from whatever professional league, whether it's the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL? They got shoddy business managers and financial managers, and
they think that
what,
they handle.
3 years later, they're worse off. They have no money than when they were playing.
Yeah. So you have to learn that. You have to learn it for you have to learn it for business. For me, thankfully I have so let's go a little bit back to my background. I have degrees that are heavily in the tech field. I when I came back here to Ohio as an adult, I came back as a single mom. I married into the military too, so I had literally exchanged my dependent card from my dad to my husband. And when that relationship did not work, I came here to Ohio. So I waited until my daughter was in preschool, and I had unfortunately had a really bad family incident that happened, and it forced me to like reevaluate my life. And I was like, I'm gonna go to school. So I went to school for 6 years straight. I'm that person who has all of these degrees, and now I got a cleaning business, right? But I'm gonna tell you that every single degree and every single experience that I've had from that time until now, I actually incorporate that into my business. So I do have that marketing. I have a marketing and advertising back. I have a PR background. I was a media services manager, which I did, you know, advertising and um, event planning and web maintenance and all of that. I also am a user experience designer. I advocate for digital accessibility. All of those things I try to incorporate into my business, hence the name, The Maid Experience, because I love experiences and curating like great experiences for other people because that's what life is about. A good experience will make you feel great, a bad experience will make you feel crappy. And so my goal is to like really leave people, you know, feeling great with any interactions that I have with them, you know. So,
I
um,
gotta ask, how many degrees?
for
Four.
yes, and I was crazy enough. It would have been five. I was crazy enough to be enrolled in two graduate programs at one time. While raising kids. So yeah. And for a long time I was very so going back to like me saying that like people need to utilize their resources that they have going on, you know, around them. When I was in college, I was very involved. I was like, you know, in a lot of student organizations. I was the president of the Joint Student Council. I have gone to the Ohio State Capitol advocating. I've gone to DC and advocated on Capitol Hill, you know, for like higher education. organizations. I was the very first user experience designer for a large private university here in Northeast Ohio, in which I did all of their research to redesign their website. So I was the user experience researcher for their main website, HR, their doctors' sites, their professor sites, and things like that. I think it was probably about 70 different web redesign projects that was ongoing when I was brought in. So, again, that's how I knew so much about students because I've had to research them. I've had to literally set up and, do usability testing or do focus groups or, those types of things for not only them, but, the staff members, their parents. So when I say that, like I know student housing or I know students or higher education, I don't know, I'm here with that. So, um, but I use all of that experience in my day to day for business. And I'm sharing that because a lot of times people who are entrepreneurs who may have gone into entrepreneurship after going to college or after being into corporate, and people think that you're crazy when you decide to do that. I have had people think that I am crazy. You got all those degrees? You mean to tell me, you got a cleaning business? Because people be thinking that cleaning businesses are just like the low, like that cleaners are the lowest part of the society. People think that cleaners are not ambitious. People think that cleaners are like not educated. I have one of my very best cleaning staff members right now is she was a nurse professionally. She's making more money being a cleaner and having freedom to pick her own schedules and not have to put her, and I'm not down in the medical field or anything like that, but I'm just saying people will hold a nurse at a higher degree versus a cleaner and not knowing that this cleaner was a nurse.
Unfortunately, it is true. The service industry as a whole, cleaners, landscapers, movers, it seems like society looks at them as people who might take the easy way out because it's just physical work, it's not mental work.
Right.
The mental toughness that needs to be had by somebody who wants to work in the service industry is incredible. I
Mm-hmm.
would love to see somebody who works a corporate job go clean houses for 8 to 10 hours a day and also have the homeowner potentially, because there are plenty of cases where the homeowner is home and over their shoulder and constantly nitpicking every single thing while they're trying to be as professional and polite as possible. You try and do that and tell
Right.
me 5 days a week you can handle that.
Right. I tell people all the time, like, cleaning is a dirty business, but I make sure that like the cleaners, they feel respected. I make sure that they feel safe. I make sure that even on my website, under the things we don't service clients who cannot respect our staff. We're there to alleviate their duties. We're there to help.
Yeah.
And so I will not allow anyone to be disrespectful to anybody in my business. There's not enough money in the world for that.
And that's
People.
the unfortunate thing that customers feel entitled and they think that just because they're paying for the service, they can say and do and treat whoever they want, however they want.
Right.
And when they meet strong business owners who value their employees, they won't get their way. And that's how I feel anybody listening to this who's either just started or thinking about starting, take that to heart.
Mhm.
Back your employees and make sure that you take care of them. You may think that they may take advantage of you. That just part of your hiring process. You have to weed the good from the bad out. But when you take care of your employees, you take care of your people, it's not that adage that is very thrown out there a lot where you get hired to a new business and it's like, we're like family, and they work you like a dog for 60, 70 hours and give you a pizza party once every 3, 4 months. That's not the type of family that it should be like you are inviting them for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, for weekly dinners. It's that type of family that you should be building with your business and your employees. When you have that, their work is going to be so impeccable. They are never going to, I won't say never, but they will be very less likely to be late or call off jobs because they don't want to do that to you. They don't want to do that to the customers. They don't want to do it to themselves.
Right. Yeah, you have to realize that you are in the people's business.
Hmm.
So this, you have to care. It's on both sides with the client. And to that as well, when you are hiring or looking for cleaners, you have to let them know what's at stake. That, hey, we are there to service these people, we are there to help them. And they have to have the buy-in. It's not that you just, going in with a spray bottle of bleach, which I don't recommend them using bleach, but a spray bottle of cleaner, and a mop and a bucket, and just thinking that, oh, you're just gonna go in there. It's more than cleaning. You are helping someone in an area of their life that they may not be able to do. So you have to have buy-in from your clients to make sure that those clients know that they have to treat your cleaners well. But you also need to let the cleaners know that they are actually making an impact on these clients' lives, because it's going to help them get through the day. And it is the truth. I mean, literally, you're having to go in and clean someone's toilet, and things like that. And so the impact of it, going to like how the impact of people helping me clean my house, it helped me be able to pull myself out of a depression. And, or the impact of going in. I love it when moms, it's grandmas, mostly first time grandmas, they'll call and say, listen, my daughter is about to have a baby. I need to have that house clean. This, and that. Like, you're really making an impact on somebody's life in their families. The mom might live in Kentucky, but her daughter live right here in Northeast Ohio, and she needs to, get her daughter's house clean. I convey that to the cleaners. Hey, this, the mom ordered this service for her daughter or a grandchild. I have a service that's coming up on Monday. And on Monday, the grandchild is her grandmother. She just wants us to come in and do an hourly clean to do areas that her grandmother is not able to do. Now, that granddaughter may not be able to go over to the grandma's house, but that's the impact. Those are the stories that we have for our clients. I have people who call. I don't answer the phones now. I have an assistant, but sometimes I'm answering the phones, and people are like, "Oh man, I'm recovering from surgery, and I just need a little help around the house," because traditionally women are supposed to clean the house. And a lot of times these clients have a hard time even delegating. We're going back to the delegation that you were talking about earlier. Some of the clients have a hard time, or they feel some type of way that they got to order a cleaning service to come clean their house. But I'm
Right.
able to be on the phone with them and say, hey, I get it. Don't worry about it. Like, you don't have to feel ashamed. Like, kudos to you for ordering service and delegating. We got you. Don't worry about it. You focus on healing, you know?
Absolutely.
So you have to, and I'm speaking directly to the people who are coming into this industry and those who have been in this industry and maybe forgot what we are doing this for. The money, yeah, that'll be there. The money will come. I feel like I got a slow grow business, because I'm okay with leaving money on the table. I am okay with it. If the client does not align with my business, or they don't feel like they're going to be respectful to the cleaners, we don't need your money. People have to understand why we are doing what we are doing. So yeah, you need to make sure that if you're an owner and you don't answer your phones, listen to some of those phone calls. People telling you exactly what their problem is and why they are coming to have to order a cleaning service. And you need to share that with your team, so that they know that they are actually making an impact in the world. Because the same way that people are, um, sorry, I'm getting all passionate about it, but
No, I love it. Absolutely.
the same way that I have to advocate for the cleaners with the clients who may not feel that like cleaners are deserving of respect. It's the same way those cleaners might feel some type of way about cleaning a toilet, or being, having to clean somebody else's house. They might feel like they are at the lowest part of their life, but really and
Right.
truly, they are making an impact on other people's lives. They matter. And so that you need to be able to convey that to your team. So yeah, when we hear a story about something, which we all do, every single time somebody call and they need a cleaning service, they tell you why they need it. Oh, I hurt my leg and I can't clean, oh, my back is hurting, so I can't get down and clean my baseboards. Or, all of that. Like, tell the cleaner, so they know that they going in there and they really making an impact on somebody else's life. And that's
Right.
all that we're supposed to be here for anyway. We're all in this human experience together, trying to get through the day, but also making an impact on others, So I'm gonna
That's huge.
get off my little
With
soapbox.
I no, and it needs to be said. It needs to be said, and I feel like it's not said enough. And you said it perfectly. It's two-sided. It's you're advocating for the cleaners because customers don't understand. And then there are times where cleaners don't understand and you're advocating for the customer, like you said. It could be an elderly customer. It could be somebody who, I mean, it could be me. I could have walked across the street and a car could have clipped me, and now I'm sitting at home for 3, 4 months, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It just, like you said, listening to the phone call from the customer and then conveying it back to the cleaners is huge, and leaving those notes, because if a cleaner doesn't know that maybe the customer left for a couple hours, say the person who's stuck at home with their injured leg, like it was yourself, or I had ankle surgery a couple years back and that was me. And family would sometimes come take me and we would go out for an hour or two. And in that meantime, maybe the place is getting cleaned. Well, if the cleaner doesn't know that this person is using crutches or in a wheelchair and now they're unloading the dishwasher and putting things too high up in the cabinets, now the customer is going to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So just it's the little things that really do make a huge difference. And I feel like that gets thrown out and said a lot. But in this industry, when you are serving somebody else, it really does make the biggest difference, those little things.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it definitely does. And there's so there's tasks, when you just mentioned like the dishwasher and stuff. We'll put dishes up, but we don't wash dishes, right? And that's for liability purposes. I don't want a cleaner to cut their hand, and or because dishes, the prices of dishes is vary
Yes.
so much. So there's things that we don't service in our business. But when those clients get on the call, I try to make sure that we can refer them to a business that may be able to service that. And I think that's important as well for people who are coming into the industry, to know that they don't have to do everything, but you can create relationships with other service providers that's in your area who may do that. And so then shoot them a referral, come into some type of agreement or partnership or whatever to tell the client, hey, we don't service that, but I know that this company does. Or like washing walls. We don't wash walls. I'm gonna put my glasses on. We don't wash walls, but um, and that's for liability purposes. Now, some cleaning companies will do it. But now that I'm a certified painter, I know why. I'm glad that I made that decision, because a regular cleaner ain't gonna be able to look at a wall and say, oh, this was a oil-based paint. They're not gonna be able to say this is a water-based paint. So now when you touch a wall, and we all know, like if you clean your walls at home, the minute that you touch a wall, you about to have to touch that whole wall.
Oh
Same thing
yeah.
with painting. If you roll a wall, you about to roll the whole wall. You're not about to like spot paint.
Mhm.
So y'all cleaners that's out there hitting walls, take that into consideration. Like, don't do that to yourself, because listen here, your cleaner will be there for a very long time wiping walls, and you may be on the hook for a new paint job that the client complained about. All right. I'm sorry. I'm all into like liability too. Like, y'all better know.
That's one thing I feel like I don't really touch based on these interviews is the liability aspect of the industry.
Hmm.
And each service business is different from the next, whether it's window washers for outside,
Right.
liability on the ladders and hoses. In the inside, it's, you know, could be anything over a two-step ladder. Cleaner could fall. There are so many different aspects that sometimes people don't understand it or really think about it until it's a little too late, and now they're dealing with it because it happened.
Liability is very important when it comes down to your business. Whether you have contractors or whether you have employees, they need to understand the ramifications of their actions. If you're not the one that's out there with your cleaner, if a client asks, and they ask all the time for extra stuff that may not be, on the work order, your cleaner needs to call and verify with you or your office staff if that's something that is okay. Little mistakes can cost your company so much money. A scratch on a wood floor, now that whole floor has to be resurfaced. Um, in some instances, negates your liability insurance. So now you coming out of pocket fully. It's not, oh, well, let's file a insurance claim. No, this is on you. I'm trying to think of, maybe it was the first year I was in business. Um, that was the first year that COVID was going on. They had a lot of logistical issues with appliances. I don't know what area you're in, but I think
I'm
it,
in Chicago.
okay, I think it was worldwide, like where it was like, people had back orders on appliances. Oh my goodness, that particular
The
Christmas,
furniture industry, I worked for the furniture industry for a little bit during that time, and that was something.
yeah,
Couches were 6, 9 months out.
mm-hmm,
Dining room chairs, you would think a simple dining room chair wouldn't take 4 or 5 months to come in, but it wasn't that it was the chair, it was the metal bracket
right.
or the screws or the bolts, whatever. That was what was taking
Forever.
so much
So
time.
imagine during that time in these cleaning business groups, because it's a lot of them on Facebook. I ain't gonna shout them out. Other than Book and Koala, Book and Koala has their own community. Um, but a lot of those in those industries, people were ruining people's stoves By spraying oven cleaner on the inside of a self-cleaning oven. So it was eating the enamel inside of the oven. And so then people, cleaning business owners had to replace people's stoves in the middle of a holiday season.
Mm.
Their insurance wasn't covering it because why would you spray? That's, that's against the manufacturer's recommendation. Do not, do not, look in the camera, do not spray oven cleaner inside of a self-cleaning stove unless you want to be replacing somebody's whole stove. But anyhow, that was one of the things. It was like, hold up. Uh, these people, I mean, crying in these cleaning business groups about it because they're cleaner or they accidentally did something that they weren't supposed to do and now they're on the hook. I don't care what your insurance say they're not paying it because you did something against the um manufacturer's recommendation. Another thing about liability, like I mentioned earlier about don't use bleach. Listen here, we try to prioritize the use of green cleaning products, but a lot of times when people open up a cleaning business, the first chemical that they try to grab and have in their cleaning kit is
Bleach.
bleach. Listen here, do you know how damaging bleach is? Not only with your for you for extended exposure to it, but the amount of issues that you could come across in a client's home because you use bleach. So like even if
I personally use bleach for one thing and one thing only in my house, and that's only because it's cheaper than the alternative, and it is drain clog. If I have a drain clog, I'm pouring bleach down there instead of Drano or whatever because it's cheaper, and that's the only I know it's not the best for the pipes also, but it's, that's all I use it for. I'm not using it to clean countertops or
yeah,
wash baseboards because I also have pets. I have a dog and a cat. They
mhm,
ingest even a little bit amount of that. Not good for them.
right.
Not good for me. Not good for my wallet.
Yeah.
So stay
So
away from the bleach.
stay away from the bleach. Yeah, but when it comes down to liability, it's all of that. You going back to what you were saying about educating yourself, you have to educate yourself in this industry about the different chemicals, the dwell time on them, every all purpose cleaner. You can't use all of that on like a marble countertop. Like you need to know this type of stuff. You need to know what chemicals interact with certain natural stones. It's just so many different things in this industry that you have to educate yourself about and make sure uh, that when you're doing that, you're doing it from a liability standpoint. You have to be cautious in general, but one crazy mistake could make you lose your business because if you don't, I don't know how many cleaning business owners that just have so much money that they could just like freely just keep on and I'm talking about constantly replacing somebody's stove or resurfacing a wood floor. That costs thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I think that like the liability aspect is huge that a lot of people do not uh take into consideration. And also make sure that you have photos and I have my technicians take photos at every single cleaning. Every single one. I don't care how long this client has been a reoccurring client, you know, always go through and do a walkthrough of that client's home. Uh, see the conditions. If it's anything that stands out, make sure that you photo that as well. But do before and after photos. It helps with liability. It could be
100%.
the smallest thing. I've had a client who was like, "Hey, I had, envelopes that had gift cards and I had it on my desk." Okay, let me look in on these photos, and I'm zooming in and I'm like, well, oh, it was in the red envelope. Oh, okay. Well, listen here, I'm gonna send you this photo that the cleaner took before and after the cleaning. I can see your desk, and I do not see any red envelope, so that's a liability thing if there's something that's missing or they misplaced it, any of that, or even an accusation of a theft, those types of things. It's just you're in a customer service business, you're in a people business, so folks, they misplace stuff. I misplace stuff all the time. So my own self, I'd be like, if I would lose me if I wasn't me. So, you have to just think about liability at every single angle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And going a little more in depth into your business, employees or independent contractors?
So I have independent contractors right now. I
Okay.
have tried employees twice. I had the first year that I did the student housing contracts, I did temporary employees, and I paid them hourly. I was a fresh business owner in that sense. And that did not necessarily work because I had people who were milking the clock, things like that. Last year I tried to transition into employee again, um, and that did not work out either. Right now, I am preparing for and hoping to do the employee route yet again. This is going to be my third try. The difference is that this time I will actually have help regarding having a lawyer to help, having an accounting staff that will help make sure that, like, okay, well, I want to hire two people. All right, well, Shanisha, let's look at these numbers and let's see, right now, is it possible for you to hire two people? um I would say that I've learned a lot in the last, 3.5, almost 4 years, that those kind of big transitions, you need to know what you're doing so that you could protect your company in the transition, because it's literally a gray space. It's literally a gray space when it comes down to contractors and employees. And so you do not want to get in a situation where you may have legal ramifications because someone is not classified properly.
Right.
And I'm only speaking slowly right now because I don't know when this is going to air. But I can tell you that I right now am dealing with having to go to hearings with workers' comp because a contractor filed a workers' comp case, against my company. And so I am actively having to go through that process. We had a hearing actually a few days ago. I do not know what the results of that hearing is, but the hearing officer immediately said this is a hearing to determine whether or not this person is a contractor or an employee. So that is the warning of that. Just make sure that you get help. um, my thought process is that the person is an independent contractor. They signed an agreement. They had their, I checked all of the boxes, but I still have to take time out of my day to fight this case. So if there's people out there who are trying to determine whether or not they need to do independent contractor or to have employees, or if you started one way and want to transition to the other, I would suggest that you all get the proper people in place to help you determine which route to go. It is not an easy decision. Everybody's things, what may work for one company may not work for the other.
And it varies city by city, state by state. And
Exactly.
it is a bit easier when you're first starting out to do it,
Mm.
to differentiate if you're going to go independent or employee. Doing it in the middle of your business, being out several years now and now making the transition, I kudos to you. It's a hard task.
It's a
It
lot,
is
and
it's huge.
it's a lot. And I mean, I absolutely 100% know that I need to have just employees. And like I said, I have tried it twice on my own, trying to read up and making sure that I have all the requirements in place and all of those things. But with what I'm currently going through, I'm just like, you know what? Let me just make sure that I have all the help in place, because the last thing you want to do again with the whole lot, this is a liability issue too, you
Mhm.
know? Um, you don't want something as simple as an assumption, whether the assumption is from me or from the person that you're hiring to clean, make you lose your business. That is a huge thing when it comes down to it, um, on the federal level and on the state level, whether or not, someone's work is, if they're independent or if they are an employee. Employees have certain rights and stuff that they are definitely entitled to. I'm not a person who is against like employees, and here in Northeast Ohio, particularly in the Cleveland area, is heavy union. I'm like pro union. Even though I know that my company is going to grow so much that eventually, they may need to unionize. And most times people is like, oh, these corporations are against unions. No, not all of them. You know, hey, I don't mind having to, if I got to join a union for a project, which sometimes you have to. I don't know if people are familiar with that, but you can actually join a union for a particular project. That may be what my reality is when you know, when I get on to some of these larger projects that is on my pipeline, there's an option for you to be able to have to unionize specifically for a project. I had no clue about that. I'm not against it. I'm not against employees' rights, but you have to educate yourself on all of that type of stuff so that you don't lose your company. You can lose your company
Everything you've worked for can be gone in a matter
in
of,
a matter of an assumption.
yep.
I'm assuming that I'm right. They're assuming that they're right, but the facts is right there written in the law. And I am not a lawyer. I was thinking crazily that I wanted to start studying for the LSAT actually this quarter. I said maybe I need to go back to school to be a lawyer. But I am not a lawyer, nor am I an accountant. So you have to have those things in place in your business to help you make sure that you're making the right decisions. I
Right.
think
And
those are the
not
first.
going with the first lawyer, first accountant you find either. You need to know what questions to ask, and you need to shop around as bad as that says it sounds, but you don't go with the first person you find. You
No.
three, four, five, 10 if it takes it, because this is huge. Those are two avenues of your business that are massive. So,
Yeah. And so lawyers, like, just because somebody is a lawyer doesn't mean that that's the particular part of the law that they study. Just
right.
because someone is an accountant doesn't mean that they know how the ins and out of everything, every business. There's accountants who are specific or knowledgeable for the cleaning industry. There's lawyers who are who specialize in like environmental services or things like that. You need to be able to identify, depending on your industry, what type of professional that you need in place. I would not want to. I would not want to hire a lawyer who all they know is family law. What they gonna help me with? My kids? I mean, they might be able to help with, I don't know. No, I don't see where they would help me with this business. I can't
No,
even think of it.
no, it's like a divorce lawyer. That's not going to help you.
Right.
That it's you need a business lawyer, and like you said, one that knows your industry and also practices in your state. If
Mhm.
that I feel like that shouldn't need to be said, but we'll say it anyway. Don't go looking for lawyers that can't practice law in your state, but they say that they do.
Right.
You're going to pay them all this money and they're just going to disappear when it comes time to going to court because they
Right.
can't help you. So knowing what to ask and always learning.
Yeah.
You don't have to learn it, the laws yourself, but learning and knowing what to ask for so you hire the right person for the job is all that matters.
Yeah. I think that those are part of like the essential team members that you have to have if you're wanting to grow. You know, of course, there's when people are first starting their business, we tend to be like on more of the admin. You're doing everything, you know. I've been fortunate enough where I rarely have to go out and clean. I do have a cleaning kit, but I rarely, and I try my best not to, because I'm always having to do like the administrative stuff, or I'm the face of my business. A lot of cleaning businesses owners are not. They're just kind of on the back end, and no one knows who owns what. But I'm actually the face of my business. I'm out there with it. So I don't necessarily have time to go out and clean and build the business and build relationships the way that I am. But I think having a lawyer, having an accountant, an assistant, um, a therapist. You need a
Yeah,
therapist as a business owner. Your family and friends are not going to understand. They're not
yeah,
going to understand why you're so tired that you may not be able to come to a family function. And that's the beginning part of the business. Like sometimes you're going to have to sacrifice certain things. You don't have to miss everything, but sometimes, you know, uh, in your life, there's going to be things that where your business takes precedence. And so they're not going to understand that. And then uh, if you're not really tapped into a community, like I call my cleaning business friends all the time. I be like, girl, I need to talk to you about this because I'm stressed. But they understand.
right,
But if you don't have that and you're not at the point where you're able to tap into a community, you need a therapist who you could be able to be like, listen here, I'm stressed. The business is stretching me beyond repair. My family life is stretching me. I feel like I'm going crazy. You're gonna feel like you're going crazy. You are going
absolutely.
crazy. You are. You just admit it. Just be
Right.
okay with the fact that we are crazy enough to keep doing this stuff day after day after day.
It's okay to not be okay and to work on it. I
Mhm.
mean, nothing is ever at 100%. Ever.
Right.
Nothing. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. Ever, ever.
Right.
So why should a human be that way? Why should we all think that we are that way?
Right.
If you're at 75% or 80% most of the time, that's fantastic right there.
Hmm. I tell people all the time, like, so When I talk to other cleaning business owners or other entrepreneurs, I tell them like I'm okay with quitting my business every week. Every week I quit my business. Now I try not to quit on Monday or Tuesday because I'm like, man, that's so early in the week. But come Wednesday, I've been to quit this business. I'm like, you know what? I quit. And then Thursday morning I hire myself back. Then Friday I fire myself. Just you gotta quit, hire, fire yourself every week and just be okay with, you know what? I'm about to just step away from this business for a second. I need to, I'm just gonna go read a book or you have to find something to decompress. So for me, I'm drawn to water. So we have, beautiful Lake Erie that's right here in Cleveland, or the Cuyahoga River. So I tend to go and seek peace and solace and clarity by some body of water. I'm either sitting down by the river, or I'm sitting up there by the lake, or doing something for me to be able to decompress from the stresses of entrepreneurship. But I also have a therapist, and I go to therapy every week. I do not miss that appointment.
Huge.
Um, and I feel like that people have to understand that you cannot and will not do this business thing alone. You're going to have to get community, get the proper people in place in your business, and then take care of yourself like mentally, and you know what I'm saying,
Right.
and physically.
For sure. It takes a village. Even if it's just you, you start the village yourself and you find the pieces that work best for you and not selfishly take those pieces just so they benefit you, give back to those pieces as well, those people, and great and amazing things will be accomplished. It's a grind. It is a
Yes,
grind.
yes.
It doesn't stop. It truly doesn't stop unless you sell the business or you fully quit and or you're dead.
And
And
it doesn't even stop
that's
then, because most of the people that I know, they're using their cleaning business, excuse me, they're using their cleaning business to launch other endeavors.
right.
I think that, yeah, it ain't, going back to what you said, it's never gonna stop.
And
Because
it
you do it
doesn't
to
have to be your end game. It
the right.
doesn't that this just because you started it doesn't mean you're gonna be a cleaning business owner for the rest of your life. Like you said, so many people have started it to either get their foot in the door of entrepreneurship, start learning things, and then a couple years go by, they're doing so well that now they have extra funds to do whatever else that they want and a dream that they wish they could have done before but didn't have the capital for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people. I first off, I've witnessed it. I've witnessed it with so many people in the cleaning industry of how they've utilized it to pursue what their main passion is. I Before I opened my cleaning business, I actually had a user experience consultancy business, and that is where like my love is at. That's where my heart is at. That's where like it keeps pulling me back there. And I know that eventually I'll be fully back there, and that's the basis of how I help other people, in the local service industry as well. But I have to really, so you have to kind of like focus on one thing and get that really, really solid foundation. The cleaning business brought more money in than my UX business did. So it makes sense to get the cleaning business to the point where it is self-running, and then I can go back and really focus on my consulting business. But you know if I so choose, I don't know, in the next couple of years, because my focus is on what do I want 50 to look like. I'm 41 right now, and so what do I want 50 to look like for me? I don't know yet. I'm trying to figure it out, but every action that I do, I'm thinking like, if I do this, how is 50 going to look? You know? Or if I don't do this, how is 50 going to look for me? Um, we don't have to stay in the cleaning business, but I could tell you that I feel like the cleaning business has changed my life. And I talk to other cleaning business owners and I be like, I cannot wait till we're like, you know, somewhere in South Africa, sitting on the beach with our cold cocktails. And like, girl, a cleaning business has really changed my life. But where I'm at now is doesn't mean that that's where I'm going to be in 10 years. The Maid Experience, I see it being a national company. I see us expanding and being on par with when you hear about like Mary Maids or Molly Maids or how that's going to happen. It will happen. I see it. I know that it will happen. And when that does happen, I ain't gonna be the one that's in the realms every day. I'm gonna probably be somewhere where, they come and give me a meeting briefs or something like that. Maybe 10 hours max of having to deal with this company every month. But I'll be able to reap the
Face on the
benefits.
billboards and on all the
Listen,
marketing.
Listen, I see my name on buildings. Do you hear me? And
There
I'm
you
not talking
go.
about the Maid Experience. I'm talking about I see Shanisha Collins on buildings. I cannot drive down the street without seeing, like, at these universities or hospitals where they have, like, whoever their donor is that paid for naming rights. I am going to have my name on a building.
Hell yeah.
You
I
know,
see it. I
yeah, I
see it
see
as
it.
well. I see it for you.
So yeah, so I'm like, and I see the Maid Experience being a household name like Molly Maids, Mary Maids, all of those types of things, and those companies, I've studied what their progression is. I've studied, um, and a lot of people, let me tell y'all, because I just found this out, and I was like, my mind was blown. But they are all in cahoots with other service build businesses that are in that particular area. So I don't want to misstate, like it might be Molly Maids and Roto-Rooter, right? They're all part of a family of businesses that they just refer
Each other
companies
back.
to each other. And that is one thing for the new people and the old people who are in this industry. Make sure that you are not sitting on the island by yourself. You need to go out there and really interact with other service industry providers. Have you a network of referrals, people that you can refer. But those companies, I know for a fact, Molly Maids is in part one of those type of organizations, and I think Mary Maids is too. But I see the Maid Experience being on par with all of those national chains of, franchised cleaning service things. I know it's going to be there. We're going to expand and be, on on a national level, international if it needs to be, but for sure on the national level in the next couple of years.
Absolutely. And so, with that, then, how many employees do you currently have?
So we have 6 teams that are like actively working every week.
Teams of two, teams of three?
Well, see, I partner with other cleaning businesses, so they have their own
So,
employees.
how many of just your independent contractors do you have?
6.
Six independent contractors.
And
And then,
but then it's 6 that's active, and then we could go up to like 20 so because so I have some people who only work for particular projects.
okay.
And then I have people who are like consistently on the schedule.
And the
But then they
painting aspect of your business, is it under the Maid Experience, or do you have a separate business for that?
So right now, everything is under the Maid Experience. That's another reason why I have a lawyer, because I need to bust the company up and put everything into its own pockets. Because we have the residential side of the business runs differently than the commercial side. And then on the commercial side of the business, there's so many aspects of it, like the painting, the the student housing, the regular just commercial janitorial services, and then the construction. So those things, and this is something that also that I'm learning as a business owner, um, that you should not have all of those particular trades under one thing. One, because if I wanted to sell off the residential side of the business,
Right.
I could sell that off. And then I do not want to state the names of the other companies that are coming up because I haven't had those trademarked yet. But um, also for liability purposes, going back to the liability, if something goes wrong on the residential side, it leaves the commercial side vulnerable. So I am actively working with a lawyer to break those things up, and they will be under a parent umbrella, and then they will have their own separate everything. And even when it comes down to the accounting aspect of things, all of those are like currently being worked out.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Software wise, how long did it take you to get everything going? Well,
Uh,
let me backtrack then. Did you, when you first started the Maid Experience, was Booking Koala your first software, or did you go with somebody else first and then transition over?
yeah, so I went with someone else first. Um I because I came through that program. So that program consisted of providing you with, the initial booking form and all of those things. And I went to, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 months in to business is when I transitioned to Booking Koala, but it wasn't too bad. So I tell people that to, go to Book Koala as early as possible. It wasn't too bad for me because I was heavy commercial during that time. So it wasn't bad for the setup. I set it up myself, got everything into the system, but it wasn't too hard.
Your forms, before we got on the call, we talked a little bit, and you said you custom your form to make it fit for your business. Explain that.
Yeah, so like I do those projects, the booking forms, I customize it for the cleaners to use during those particular projects, like student housing. And because I'm like in the more on the tech side and the experience side, I'm thinking about how are the contractors able to select their own schedules. So, like with Booking Koala, a new booking goes in and then it goes into the unassigned folder, and then people are able to select, if they want to pick up their job. So my thought process with these particular projects is I have to put in, and we're doing like, hundreds and hundreds of units during these projects. So I put in the system what our units are that people can select from. And then I open it all up, and then the cleaners are able to go in like first come, first serve and pick their assignments. I specify that for each property, but it's not anything where the actual commercial clients get notifications. It's only for accounting purposes so that I can make sure that I'm keeping the pay correct for the cleaners. I do use the system where I'm able to go into Book and Koala, see what their pay is for that particular pay period and pay the cleaners. Um, I have not used their like instant payment option. I need to actually sit down and figure out how to connect Stripe with all of that so that they can connect their own Stripe account. I know it's something that I think that there's like videos because Book and Koala is very good at having like a lot of the training videos and like for the features and things like that. I just haven't had time to do it. But so I pay them outside of the system, but I use the system to make sure that their pay is accurate.
Okay.
So I do that for commercial, for the projects. Of course, residential is just in there. And then I also customized a um like cleaning packages, like gift packages that people can use. So it's like kind of more like subscription based where, well, not subscription based, but it's a package based where someone can gift a cleaning package, maybe like three, like I think one of them might be like one deep clean and then two maintenance cleanings after that. If somebody wanted to gift that to a loved one, um, we provide that too. And then what
Do
else?
you allow customers to book on their own then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Residential clients, they do book on their own. I'm trying my best to make sure that like whatever changes that they have, that they go into the booking system and make the changes. Some of them are really good with that, and some of them are not like really technologically advanced enough to do it, or they just want to call and have changes made. But yeah, they book online. So we have people who book online and or I think book through like Google local services too, or Google Ads, whichever one.
So then what marketing channels are you using?
I am using I do have Google local services and Google Ads. I have profiles on every platform though.
I
Um
love to hear it. I love
yeah,
it.
we don't necessarily use those platforms, but just have
As
profiles.
as long as you have it and you occasionally post on there, that is music to my ears because I've said this in several interviews. If it's a free profile, your business should have it.
Yeah.
Fill up Google as much as you can when somebody Googles your name, you want as many different profiles to show up so it shows that you are everywhere and that
Yeah.
you are active.
Yeah. Yep, I do believe in that too. So you need to have all of those. I do have them on all the profiles, even down to like next door, alignable, things that people don't necessarily think to have a profile on. LinkedIn. Now I don't post on all of these things. I need
Sure.
to. I'm actively in the middle of rebranding and seeing what that looks like. So right now, on all of my social media channels, there's a pause. So we're not actively like marketing or pushing anything through because I'm in the process of having like a whole rebranding packaging going on. But I do believe that you should have that for SEO purposes and for, digital presence purposes. Yeah.
Absolutely. It seems like you have so many things going on right now with rebranding and expanding and
Setting
just
the company up, every
yeah, you got you got your work cut out for you, but 4 degrees, constantly learning. You
Yeah.
are just killing it, and it shows. You don't stop. You prioritize your mental health, which allows you to keep going. I should be a lot more people in the world doing that. It seems like we are at the start of a new generation for that, where everyone is taking mental health a lot more seriously,
Yes.
which sad that it took this long, but happy that it's now getting to that point
Mm.
because I feel like a lot more businesses and just people in general life experience is going to be so much better and everything else is going to go a lot smoother. But Shanisha, it was a absolute pleasure to speak with you today and to hear your story and the Maid Experience as it is up until this point. I am so looking forward to seeing what this rebrand brings and how you expand and get to other places and take the business across the US.
Yes, thank you so much, and thank you for allowing me this space to share my story, and hopefully the viewers and listeners are able to take something that I said to heart. And good luck to everyone in your business, and yeah, just
I'm sure they will. There was so much good information that you gave. One little thing is not gonna cut it. They're gonna kick themselves in the butt. They gotta compete with 4 degrees.
Ah,
You
listen, I am not the smartest in the room. And that's one thing that let me leave you with that. If you
you
are
are because you're constantly learning. You are in that aspect. You're not done learning. So,
yeah, just
I-
listen here, you guys. Just stay encouraged. Everything will be okay. People will think you crazy. Give yourself allowance to quit and then rehire yourself the next day. But just
allow yourself to be that little bit of crazy too, because let it out.
yeah.
No such thing as normal.
Yep, own it.
Absolutely. All right,
Thank
Shanisha,
you so
take
much,
care.
Michael. All right, you
Thank you.
too.